So welcome everyone to the Dulye Leadership Special Event, Career Coaching and Conversation with Daphne E. Jones. Please note this program is being recorded and will be available for subsequent for viewing on the Dulye YouTube channel afterwards. Please keep yourself on mute during the session, but please turn your cameras on so we'll be able to see who is in our audience, and you're able to see our diverse membership here at the DLE. All right, my name is Khaled Rocha. I'm currently a Vice President Investments Private Client Advisor for a Fortune 100 company based in Boston, and I'm a current member of DLE. I will be one of your two moderators today, along with my fellow DLE member, Alexis King. She is a graduate student at Westfield State University based in Pittsfield right now. So thank you, welcome everybody. To maximize everybody's learning experience, we have some ground rules I want to go over with you all. So one, we want this to be an interactive experience for everyone and have reserved ample time for question and answer session at the end, what Daphne calls AMA or Ask Me Anything. So please use the chat box for your comments and questions that are topic related throughout the program. Alexis will be monitoring the chat during the program, and we will get the questions answered for you at the end. So in addition to learning, use this program to broaden your network. So in the spirit of making connections, please type in the chat box your name, your title, and organization and or company, and where you are located. So I'll go ahead and start, even though you guys know me already. Khaled Rocha in Boston, Mass. And thank you so much for doing it, Elizabeth Heller. Great, thank you for doing that. Advisor, Boston, Mass. And you will see how diverse we are in not only our membership base, but location base. I'm in Boston, we got people in Pittsfield, in Washington, Massachusetts. Thank you, Nicole, for sharing. Jesse, great to know. So thank you so much. More Pittsfield, great. So it's great to see the diversity of all of you, especially our newcomers to the DLE. So from New York, great, thank you for joining, Christina. So moving on, to do our best to minimize distractions and try to minimize distractions and stay focused. So have a pen and notepad handy. I have that already handy myself. So you can take notes throughout the program. And please, at the very end, please take a few minutes to provide your feedback to the workshop evaluation that you will receive a link to at the end of today's program. In exchange for your response, you will receive Daphne's Bomono Professional Development Tool as a bonus. And she'll explain further what that is. And I know you won't want to hear this and get this tool later, so please make sure you answer that survey when you get the link at the end of the program. So thank you all. All right, now without further ado, let me introduce Daphne. So Daphne E. Jones is a Fortune 500 chief executive and a board member with 30 years experience, 30 plus years experience, excuse me, in general management and C-suite roles at IBM, Johnson & Johnson, Hospira, and General Electric. Her current bestseller, Win When They Say You Won't, which I have right here for us, has been hailed as Forbes Inc. by Inc., by Bloomberg, Fortune, Fox Business, and CNBC as a proven playbook to help anyone achieve the career of their dreams with a winning mindset. For those of you who have read the book, I think you'll agree it's a practical, powerful, and purpose-driven advice. During her tenure with GE, she served as SVP for Future of Work, SVP and CIO for Product Engineering, Imaging, and Ultrasound, and as a Senior Executive and CIO for Global Services, all of which comprise of a $13 billion segment of GE Healthcare. Huge. Daphne currently serves on the board of directors for AMN Healthcare Inc., Barnes Group Inc., and Masonite International Corp., and is the recipient of numerous domestic and international awards. She is the founder and CEO of the Board Curators, a company that teaches leaders how to prepare to serve on boards. And Daphne has received her her BS and MBA from Illinois State University. Daphne, welcome to this great program. Really appreciate you being here. Let's get the winning going.
All right, let's go. Hello, everybody. I'm going to start with one of my things that I like to start conversations with. And it's my prayer for each of us that, number one, we'll never accept no. We'll never be satisfied with the status quo. If there are followers, we've got to lead. If there's a gap, we have to fill it. If there's hunger, we need to feed it. If there's an illness, we need to cure it. If there's an empty land, we need to seed it. If there's a record, I hope you'll beat it. If there's a positive word, I want you to say it. And there's a bad thought, please don't repeat it. If there's life, I hope you will live it. If there's a win, you got to go get it. If there's prosperity, I want you to have it. And if there's wisdom, then I pray you all receive it. And we always have to find a way to win. That's what this is about. And so I am so glad to be here. The Dulye Leadership Experience. Is it a coincidence that the DL is like reversed for Linda Dooley? Is that just a coincidence? I don't know. But DLE, in the house, I'm in the house. I've known Linda for a long time. She was the bridesmaid in my wedding 26 years ago. So we go back a long time, and she's like a magnet. You just can't help but stick to her. So I know that you guys are if you're part of DLE, you're going to stay there a long time. So I'm a leader today, but I didn't always lead. I often accepted no, and I did follow the status quo. I never knew about winning, as I thought winning was about what sports teams and politicians did. It's the Bulls playing somebody else, or the Heat, playing the Knicks or whatever. And I just knew that those teams, somebody would win, or like when you're running for president or running for a Senate, I knew it existed there. I never knew that there would be an internal struggle or an organizational struggle, a battle of wills, a battle of territory, a battle of politics. This wasn't obvious to me because I grew up in such a poor and underprivileged area. And sometimes there's a battle just because of where you're born, or just because of the gender that's been assigned to you, and the race and the skin that you were born in. So please go on to the next slide. So I wrote this book because I was also told that I wouldn't win. I would love to just ask you all two quick questions. Have you ever been told or shown that you wouldn't win? Simple yes or no. Have you ever been told or shown that you wouldn't win? That you would not, that you could not, that you shall not. In no way could you ever win. The answer is yes. Wow. Great. So question number two, let's go to question two. Somebody said so many times, who told you or showed you that you couldn't win? Select the most prevalent, most common response that fits your situation. And notice that I've included yourself in there too. But again, what's the most prevalent one that dominated telling you that? I could have had other. So yourself and your boss. Number one, yourself. Number two, your boss. And number three, high school counselor. Okay, great. Thank you all for letting us peek a little bit into your life, and because I figured that might be the case. So that's sort of why I wrote the book, because I too was told that I wouldn't win. And I've always been a pretty stubborn girl. I didn't listen to my mother all the time when she told me to do things. So why would I listen to somebody who was going to tell me that, that I was going to lose? But I made it to my dream job. I was a CIO at GE and went on to the top of corporate America. And I was blessed enough to be able to stay there. I went through a lot of crap though, and you all are maybe, I'm not sure what level career you're in, maybe, early career, middle career, but I went through a lot of stuff. I've suffered through the broken glass ceiling. I've gone through concrete ceiling. I've leaped off the glass cliff. The glass cliff is when they give you an assignment that's probably not going to work out so well, but if it does work out, you'll get a great recognition. But if it doesn't, your career goes down to a thud. I've been downsized. I've been laid off. I have had promotions withheld from me. I've been heat-heated. Heat-heated is sometimes when you say something in a meeting, and then 10 minutes later, a guy might say the same thing and they sort of ignored you when you said it, but the guy got a standing ovation. They call that heat-heating. I've been mansplained. I've lost my husband in divorce. I've gone through a lot, but I recognize pattern recognition. It's an amazing thing, and I was able to see what worked and what didn't work. I was able to see what winners did and what winners didn't do, and as a result of that, I put these concepts and things, including my experiences of people that I've worked with, women that I've worked with, and I put this in the book so others can also know how to win as well. That the child of an immigrant on the lower rung of the social ladder can also get to the top of wherever they want to get to and stay there. So what happened? Next slide. What happens is what I call tiny seeds of misdirection are planted. They were sown into me. My high school counselor told me when I went to him and said, I'd like to get ready for college. I'm not sure why you haven't come to see about me, but he says, Daphne, Black girls don't go to college. It's impossible for you to go to college. They won't let you in. If you do happen to get in, you really won't graduate because you're just not going to do very well. And if you do graduate, no one's going to hire you. So he said, don't even think about going to college. And he said nobody would hire me. I never really understood why that was until much, much later, that this gender did not reflect what corporate America was built on. And somebody wouldn't look at this face or this gender and see, there's a winner right there because they've seen it before. And so all throughout history and all throughout many cultures, people, young girls, people of color, young men, we're all sown seeds of misdirection that kind of grow up with us, and they get into our psyche, they get into our mind, they get into our spirit, and these tiny seeds of misdirection grow up with us. When we hear, oh, girls can't do science, we hear that in our minds. Girls can't do math. You're no way you're going to be able to be a hedge fund manager. There could never be a woman doctor. There could never be whatever. That telescope that you got for Christmas, turn that back in and get a easy bake oven instead. And people are trying to be helpful. They really are. They've just kind of locked you into a place that they think you should be. Then you come to realize that it's not because we can't win, it's because people in power really just don't want us to. So these seeds, they grow up with us, right? And the next slide shows that these tiny seeds become tall trees of what a lot of us know as imposter syndrome, right? Imposter syndrome, they grow up with us and we start saying, we want to do math, or we want to be a mechanic, we want to be a pilot, we want to be whatever. And then we kind of go back to when we were 8 years old or 10 years old, or in my case, when I was 16 years old, when I was told that I would only be a secretary. And so imposter syndrome stymies your growth, it poisons your passion, it quenches your purpose, it makes our professionalism less powerful. And so every time I didn't ask a question, or every time I asked too many questions, showing my insecurity, every time I didn't pursue the right job that even though I was 99% qualified for it, I didn't go after it. Every time I apologized for looking a mess on Zoom, or every time I don't understand my value in a salary negotiation, or every time I say, this might be a dumb question, but every time we do those things, these trees of imposter syndrome block our ability to move through to the other side of winning. And so my high school counselor told me to do that. He said I didn't look like somebody who could win. So he had me become a secretary at Women's Day magazine. And I was in downtown Chicago. I lived in a small town called Phoenix, Illinois. Population at the time was about 1,400. That was about 40 years ago. I think population right now is about 1,500. Didn't grow very fast, but they had me go to be that secretary for somebody really important. He was the associate editor, and I felt good about myself. You know, here I am on a train. I was graduated from high school. You couldn't tell me I didn't have it going on. I go into this office and I start taking dictation, writing shorthand, typing up his letters. He's yelling at me. I'm doing a horrible job because I expected to go to college. I expected to use my shorthand as a way to take my notes, you know, from college, and then I would transcribe them myself. I didn't think I was going to be measured on it. So I did a horrible job. And I realized, you know what, this cannot be what is for me. This cannot be. It has to be that, you know, I am no longer going to be a secretary. I'm going to have a secretary. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be one anymore. And so that was really the beginning, as they say, of history or herstory. I ended up going to the next slide. I ended up starting out as a secretary, and then I went to college. And even though I was behind my high school class, they graduated obviously in June, and I couldn't make it to the September class. So I had to wait, and I joined college in January of the following year after graduation from high school. And then you know, even though in the ear of my counselor was saying, Daphne, you're never going to make it. That's what I heard in my ear. But then my life was playing out differently. I got my undergraduate degree in 3 years instead of 4. I got my master's degree in 1 year instead of 2. And I'm like, what the heck is that? And then I graduated and you know, got my first job at IBM. So he was wrong. And that is the thing that I want everyone to realize, that when people tell you impossible, it's not a fact. That just happens to be their opinion. And so they're the people that were back in my old neighborhood, 1,400 people. You know, my mom, as I didn't say really, she was an immigrant from Jamaica. My dad was an immigrant from Jamaica. She cleaned bedpans for a living. She, you know, rolled over patients, changed linen. My dad was on the assembly line. So we were the poorest of the poor, you know, 2-bedroom home that housed 6 of us, no dishwasher. Well, no, I was the dishwasher, but no washing machine, no dryer, just very, very much the basics. And we had 2 dogs and a cat named Sparky. And so when I was going to with my friends and trying to hang out, they said, Daphne, IBM is going to disappoint you. You're a Black girl. Don't forget, you working for the white man. It's just not going to work out. You are trying to go too high, too fast, too far. And so I realized at that point that even though I was a systems engineer at IBM, I realized I had to do 2 things. When they told me about how far I wouldn't go, how far I would not reach, the first thing I had to do was get new friends. When your friends tell you that you're impossible to be able to make it, you got to get new friends. So the next slide is a saying that I have, that just because somebody's in your circle, these could be your family members, your friends, co-workers, they could be your buddy you grew up with, it doesn't matter. Just because they're in your circle, next slide, does not mean that they are going to be in your corner. And you have to know and do an assessment of who is in your corner. You have to think about whether or not you need to get new friends, because there are people that, when you think about boxing, when a boxer is going in between the 3rd and the 4th round or whatever, that boxer stumbles to the corner, and who's in the corner? The coach is in the corner, his trainer's in the corner, or her trainer's in the corner. That trainer wants you to win. That trainer has won before and knows what winning is. That trainer says, you know what, that strategy that you got is working. You've got her against the ropes. You're gonna beat this person. Or it will tell you, no, that strategy is not so good. You need to try something else, and here's an idea. Or the cut man. The cut man is in there in case you happen to get cut on your face, will temporarily put that cut back together so you can go back out there into your business, back out there into the ring, and be able to fight another day. And so this entire deck the rest of this deck is going to be some of what I will consider the world's best guidance about how to be a great leader. But I want you to know that in order to be able to really get the essence of it, the context and the content of it, you're going to have to get the book. You just got to get the book, because I'm not going to teach you the entire book right here. Won't be able to in 15 or 20 minutes. The second point is that when you read and listen to our conversation, there is a 4-step framework that I'm not going to really mention so much here today, but it's in the book, and it's called EDIT, E-D-I-T. EDIT, first of all, means change. And when I told you I had to, number one, change my friends, that's the first thing I had to do. The second thing I had to do, I had to change my mindset and go with what my mother shared me to do. So EDIT means change. If you change how you think, you'll change how you behave. If you change how you behave, you are guaranteed to change the outcomes that happen in your life, right? So EDIT stands for envision, design, iterate, and transform. So you start with the vision, you design a plan for how you're going to achieve that vision, you practice that plan, you test, you measure, you learn, and then next thing you know, you've transformed. You want to learn how to swim, you envision that you want to learn how to swim, you take your classes for how you're going to learn how to swim, you jump in the water and try your hand out. You may almost drown, you may not, but then you've transformed into being a swimmer. Same thing, whether it's a vice president role, being a better mother, being a good cook, whatever it happens to be, you can envision, design, iterate, and transform. Okay, so let's go. One of the things that I heard in the advanced questions that you guys either sent to the DLE was like, what is some of the best leadership advice that I've ever heard? And I'm going to give you those in probably the next 6 slides. The first slide you just saw, whoever's in your corner, whoever's in your circle may not be in your corner. Assess your friends. Understand if they are somebody that you can pour into, because it's okay to help people. You don't have to always be the one that's being helped. It's okay to pour in, but if they don't have a bottom to their jug, you're pouring in and it's going in one side and out the other. Or can they pour into you? Can they help you win? Or is it that their misery just loves your company? So make sure that you are with the people that are going to be able to help you win. They may not know your business. They may be able to offer a word of prayer. They may be able to recommend you to somebody who does know how to help you to win. And so that's the first thing that I received. The second thing that I received is the next slide, in terms of advice, is understand what phase of life you're in. Are you in the learn all you can? Are you in the earn all you can? Or are you in the return all you can phase? When we start out 3 years old, 4 years old, 6 years old, whatever age we start going to school, we start that phase of learning all you can. You're learning history, you're learning math, you're learning how to tie your shoes, you're learning, and you're gathering intellectual capacity, intellectual capability. You're learning stuff. You're getting really smart and full of wisdom and full of knowledge, right? And then when it's time for you to earn all you can, you take the intellectual capital that you have ingested over the years and you trade it for money. You trade it for financial capital. That's when you're earning all you can. So you learn for about 20 years, then you earn for about 40, maybe 50, and then you return. And return is when you take your intellectual capital, your financial capital, and you return it and help somebody else to learn and or to earn. But you don't stop learning, you don't stop earning, you don't stop returning. I'm still learning, of course, I'm still earning, and I'm still returning. But you have to know, where are you? Because certain things will matter more to you if you're in your earning all you can stage, or if you're in returning all you can stage. So that was one of the things that I felt was really important that I heard from others. And then the cycle continues, right? The next slide gets into what is it that you want to be. One of the most important things that you have to be able to do, whether you want to change your career in the middle of your career, or if you want to, take a side job somewhere, or whatever it is, you have to understand what is your vision that you have for your life, right? You have to have clarity of purpose, because if you don't know where you're going, as they say, any road will get you there. Having a North Star, having a thing that says, this is why I was created. This is why I was made. This is my superpower. And I believe that everybody's got a purpose, right? For me, my purpose is to teach wisdom to the world. And how do I do that? I do that by, number one, speaking truth to power. That's what I do on my board work. And then I also empower the underserved, the overlooked, the undervalued. And that's what I do when I teach classes or when I try to help people through coaching and whatnot. And so you first have to know, what your stage of life is, because based on stage of life, your vision might change. I'm in the returning all I can phase of my life. So I've gone through, the corporate America route, did that, been there, but I have to now have a vision for what I want to do in my returning phase that I happen to be in. And then while you're envisioning your vision, you have to say, I'm not going to disbelieve. I believe that I can make it. My high school counselor said to me, you will not make it. I had to not believe him in order for me to make it through college, in order for me to get to where I made it as a senior vice president at GE. So you've got to have your vision, suspend disbelief, and then got to create a plan of action in order for you to be able to move on your edit that you have in your mind. So let's go on to the next slide. The next thing that I think was the thing that I had to do, I told you I had to get new friends. Number two, I had to change my mindset. And some of you all, if you haven't gotten the book yet, read about the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. Whoever has your mind has you. If excellence has your mind, then you're going to try to be very excellent. My mother said, if that stupid boy Shawnee down the street has your mind, then you're going to be just like that stupid boy Shawnee down the street. So whatever has your mind has you. And so however you think, that's how you're going to act. And however you act, that's the results that you're going to get. So having a growth mindset says, I haven't learned everything. I haven't done everything. I haven't met everybody I need to meet. Fixed mindset says, you know what, I've learned all I can. I'm not going to get any more. I'm not going to get any smarter or what have you. So have the mindset that it says I'm a growth mindset. Next slide. One of the best ways in order to really win is to understand this model. Harvey Coleman, Empower Yourself, Organization Games Revealed. This was a life changer. It changed my life. And it was because of this model that I became a vice president of IT at Johnson & Johnson. First of all, PIE, performance, image, and exposure, right? Performance is necessary. You got to perform good. You got to be good at what you do, but it's not enough. And my mother always said, Daphne, just do your job. They'll notice you. You will be fine. She was wrong. You have to know what success is, deliver value early, deliver it with, less cost, high quality, do a great job, right? But then your brand is your image. The second part is your I. I is, what do you like? How do people describe you? Are you collaborative or are you mean? Are you always late for meetings? Are you sloppy with your work? What is your image? What does your brand represent? So whenever they know they're sending you to a meeting, they're sending you to Brazil to start up a plant, they're sending you to talk to the board, they understand that your image reflects that of a winner, that of the company. And then E is for exposure. Who knows you? And so one of the questions is, how do you promote yourself? The way you promote yourself is making sure that you deliver, that you have a great brand, and that you have somebody that knows you who's in power. So there's somebody who's on the returning all they can end. They are a high-level executive in the company. They should know your name. If they don't know your name and you're not in the room and you're not on Zoom, they won't know to recommend you to go report to Brazil to start up that new facility or what have you. And so that's really important, that PIE is going to be the way that you will win. All right. And then when you think about mentoring, because sometimes that E about exposure is about mentoring. And when you need a mentor, when you want a mentor, one of the tricks that I sort of do to get a mentor is I tell someone, thank you, I tell someone that I am really loving what they're doing. I admire them from afar. I appreciate how that speech they gave, or I love the book that they wrote, or whatever. And I say, do you mind if I come and talk to you? I just got a couple of questions I'd love to ask you. Everybody loves to talk about themselves. So you get a way to have a meeting with that person, and then you ask them some questions, they answer you, you write them down, and then you go back to them, and then you say to them, you know what, that was really fantastic. This is what I tried, it worked. Can I come see you again, maybe another month or another 2 months? Next thing you know, you've got yourself a mentor, because that person will say yes again. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide. So one of the things that I recognize is that when we get feedback, we sometimes take it personally. We get upset, we want to quit, we want to throw glass, we want to do whatever. And whatever you do, when you're listening to your mentor, when you're listening to your boss who's telling you that they don't think you're going to win, you've got to take it strategically. Maybe this particular rejection, they say rejection is a direction. What did you do that didn't work? Get clarity of issue. Understand, do you fit in that culture? Understand what you're going to do about that feedback that you got that wasn't positive, and then go back in 6 months, and then you close the loop and say, did I fix that? Is everything better now? And so find a way not to take it personally. Find a way to take that data, take that feedback as data that you can use to put back into how do you perform and how do you deliver in your job. Okay. And so I think my last point I wanted to raise, and go on to the assess your 5Fs slide. You have to understand that it's not just your career that matters. What matters is your faith, your family, your fitness, your finances, and also furthering your career. All of those represent glass balls, whether you're in your learn all you can, earn all you can, or return all you can stage. I lost my first husband because I only focused on number 5, which was furthering my career. I didn't realize that other things need nurturing as well, such as my family, such as my husband. I didn't realize that my faith was slipping, right? And I had to take care of those things. So no matter what you're doing, understand the impact that anything that you're about to do will have on your finances. Make sure you don't live longer than your money. You don't want to be a Walmart greeter at 80 years old. Make sure that when you're going to be moving across the country, that you still have time to take care of your emotional fitness, your physical fitness, and your spiritual fitness as well. So this is one of the most important things that I had to learn as a leader, is that I'm not in this by myself. I'm in this with my fitness. I'm in this with my faith. I'm in this with my family, and I'm with this with my finances. So that is, I think I had one more slide maybe, but I'm gonna take you guys and open it up to any questions that you guys want to ask.
Daphne, thank you so much. That was incredible. And I know we skipped some slides,
Yeah,
but the book has everything. I did read most of it. It was a lot, and I was just like, I need to slow down because I want to really soak this in. So I didn't want to rush through it before we had this, and it was fantastic. I liked a lot. So I do want to shift to the attendees, like you said, Daphne, but I do want to ask one question because there was one that we got in advance that I think the audience might benefit of hearing. The first question is, how do you balance determination and rejuvenation when pushing past obstacles?
How do you say that one more time?
Yes, how do you balance determination and rejuvenation when pushing past obstacles?
Okay, so that's a very deep question. Whoever thought of it is very clever.
Yeah, thank you for thinking of that. That was fantastic. Whoever that
It was great. When you have a vision or a North Star or a purpose, you are grounded in a general direction. So if you get nothing else, you got to have a vision. You have to know where you're going. You don't want to have somebody else running with your career down the field, and you're watching your career go down the field without you. Make sure that you have a vision, North Star. And then if you understand that, realize that obstacles are really just there to test you. And they may not, the obstacles themselves may not be that smart, or they are that smart. They just want to test you. They want to see how much you want what your vision is, right? They want to strengthen you, because as you go after that thing, you're going to get stronger because of the obstacles. It's like lifting weights. You know, you get stronger the heavier the weight is. When you desire it bad enough, you will find a way to win. So you have to act like you have no choice but to win. So a case in point is I had breast cancer 2 years ago. And that was a picture you saw, and that we kind of passed by it. I would call that an obstacle. I would call breast cancer a real stone cold obstacle. Getting started on achieving my purpose of teaching wisdom to the world was my book that was going on. So I had to figure out, am I going to rejuvenate myself, get better? Am I going to just push through and try to, you know, forget about the cancer, it'll take care of itself or whatever? But my purpose was in jeopardy. But it was my decision that I had to make, that dream, that vision I had of writing this book and teaching wisdom to the world was more important than me putting the book up on the shelf. I had to get it out there. So I found a way to pivot. And sometimes you have to pivot and say, I'm going to take a time out, but my goal is still there. So whatever your North Star is, you never give up on it, but circumstances in life happens, and you have to say, this is still important, but I'm going to go take care of this matter for a moment, but I'm going to come back. And so you find a way to have friends that will support you. You read whatever is motivating to you. You take whatever is negative in your brain and you push it out by pushing positive things that are in there. All that junk that is in your mind, you get rid of it. It's a decision that you have to make when you're trying to push past obstacles. You have to act like you have no choice but to win. But so the vision is the number one thing that you have to have. And then you've got to be able to understand what are you willing to give up in your 5 F's? Are you willing to work and give up your faith, to give up your family? Because sometimes you may have that choice and you may say, no, what? I'm not giving up my family. I'm not giving, up my fitness or my faith. And so you have to make sure you're clear about what you're willing to sacrifice.
Thank you. That's having the vision is crucial here. And I do really appreciate your answer. Another Anthony, I had a question for you. Anthony, if you want to go off mute real quick and just ask her.
Hi, Anthony.
Yeah, so hi. Great job, by the way. But I was just wondering, like, aside from all the like small and like things that you might like already know about, like working harder than others or putting the extra time in, how would you say that you can set yourself apart from other candidates when you're trying to pursue your career or a certain like goal that you have?
Well, and I don't know if you were saying don't mention this, but that's what PI is, right? PI says you perform, you're able to see around a corner. When you spot trends, if you can do pattern recognition, you will perform really well because you can see. I mean, like IBM, if you all haven't read, is going to lay off 30% of their workforce, or they believe 30% of their workforce will be replaced by AI. Y'all need to be doing AI. When you look at, seeing around the corner, AI is going to take certain jobs that people are doing today. So look at pattern recognition, and that will help you with your performance. That's number one. Number two, I'd say understand your superpower. Everybody's got a superpower, right? And your superpower might be that you're highly empathetic. Your superpower might be that you're highly quantitative and you can whip through numbers and like nobody's business. You might be a good salesperson. You might be a great scientist. Whatever your superpower is, learn how to maximize that and use that to the glory and the power of the company that you're working for, whether it's yourself or somebody else. I think that will set you apart. A lot of people tend to worry about their weaknesses. No, hang out with people that have your weakness as their strength, and you hang out with people that have your strength as their weakness, and you'll be able to do amazing things together. And of course, it is your image and it is your exposure. I think the last thing I'll say is WAIT, W-A-I-T. That was invaluable for me because I was always raising my hand, talking, trying to show how smart I was, because I was told that I was going to be only a secretary. And to be a secretary, you don't want to be like at IBM, people thinking that you're a secretary. So through the years, I was always raising my hand, just talking, asking all kind of questions. And somebody said to me, Daphne, you need to learn how to wait. And I said, wait, what is that? Where are we going? Who are we waiting on? They said, no, WAIT stands for why am I talking? So you take a moment while everybody is talking and you listen. And you maybe ask a question every 20 minutes, not every 2 minutes, not every 5 minutes. And then when you do that, write your questions down as they come to you. You may not get them all answered, but then you see which one is the most important question that I have here that's relevant to this subject. 20 minutes later, 25 minutes later, you ask the question, and you'll find that other people had the same questions that you had written down, but you didn't ask. Ask that one question or two questions, and it'll make you a better listener. And then when you are a better listener, you're a better contributor. You understand more about the context. You understand deeper about what the real issues are than if you're just on the surface, just asking questions and just talking on top of your head.
I absolutely love that answer. Thank you, Anthony, for that question. And it does go down to like how you see yourself and the mentality shift you have to make. So I do want to, if you want to ask a question to Daphne Live, just use the raise hand feature there or type it in the chat and we'll get to you for sure. So Jesse, please.
Hi, Jesse.
I'm on mute, the fun classic. I thought a really informative presentation. And I asked a question way up in the chat, so I'm just going to say it out loud now. When you went through kind of the 3 segments of the pie, I'm curious to get your thoughts on if those 3 segments are equal in weight, because they are on your picture, or if you think there are areas that are deemed subconsciously more important than others.
Absolutely great question. God, DLE, y'all got some smart people in here. Y'all see everything. So no, they're not all equal weight. When you are new in your career, the P is huge because nobody knows that you can perform. They don't know you. They need to know that when they tell you to go and do that new ERP implementation or to find out, customer demographics for whatever you're trying to work on, then you know that you can do it, right? They know that you're wet behind the ears. They know you're a little rough around the edges because you just got out of college or you've only been out of college for 5 years or whatever. Performance is huge. The I and the E are smaller. When you get to be Linda's age, I'm not gonna say my age. When you get to be Linda's age, you will then have the P will be much smaller and the I and the E will be bigger. And the E will be the biggest of them all because it really, what matters is who you know. That's how you will get promoted. You don't get promoted because a computer just walked, a robot went by your desk and handed you a slip that says you're promoted. Somebody saw something in you that says you are ready for the next level. And that is because of your exposure. So the E is huge, the I is a little bit less huge, and the P is tiny when you get to be our age or in your senior manager, senior career level. In the beginning, the P is huge and the I and the E is less so. Great question.
Thank you, Daphne. Amazing answer as always. Jacob, please go ahead with your question.
Sure. Yeah. So again, Daphne, I really enjoyed the presentation.
Thank you, Jacob.
One of the questions that kind of popped up in my head is, especially when you talked about, your vision. One thing that really trips me up or kind of stops me in my tracks, and I think a lot of people might have a similar experience, is, I can focus on the what is, what's my vision, and I can focus on the why. But the how is something I feel like gets a ton of people. I myself am amidst a career change. I really didn't like what I graduated with, my fields. And so now I'm kind of like, man, all of these things, I'll have to go back to school for X amount of years and spend all this money, or I don't know the next step here. So it's like, how do you get past the overwhelming fear of the how, like, even if, you don't know the next step?
Yeah. So I retired from corporate America, and I said I was going to join a board. I didn't know about how to join a board. I had never been on a board before, except, not for profit. I said, I'm going to be the CEO of a startup company. Every company I've been part of was already there. I've never done a startup before in my life. And then what's the third thing? Oh, I'm going to write a book while I'm at it. I had no idea how to do that. So it was really, when I talk about having a vision, I know you said the what and the why. The second part of that slide said suspend disbelief. You have to remember that you have won before. If you don't know anything else, when you were born, you won. When you graduated from 8th grade, you won. When you graduated, etc., got promoted, you've won. And there are times when you have done something for the very first time and you were successful at it. And there are times when you may have done something for the first time that, oops, that didn't work out so well. But that's why they have an eraser on a pencil. I know you all are young enough. Hopefully y'all know what a pencil is. I'm just kidding. But that's why they have an eraser on the end of a pencil, is because sometimes you mess up, but you don't stop writing. And so the how, and that's in my book, and there's the E in vision, the D is the design, the D is the how. The same things that you use in corporate America or whatever your business is are the same tools that I use in my book. You can use OKRs, objectives and key results. So if you have one objective in your mind, and we'll talk about BOMO knows, but let's say you have one objective and you're going to say, well, how do I achieve that objective? What must be true in order for me to become a director of whatever in 3 years? Then you look at the people that are on that slide, and I don't know, Colette, if you want to go back to the one that shows the 6 boxes. By myself, I know a little, but together with other people, I know everything. And so the how becomes, I have an objective. What must be true in order for me to achieve those? Those are the KRs, your key results, right? We use that in business. You have a SWOT. What are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? What are your opportunities and what are your threats? You use that for your business, you can use it for yourself. And you find people in these columns here that are your mentors, accountability buddies, somebody who's been there, done that. You go on LinkedIn and you find somebody who is doing now what you want to do in 5 years, or who's doing now what you want to do in 2 years. And you link in with them and you ask them, can I ask you some questions? How did you do that? What were some of the barriers that you suffered through, the obstacles that somebody asked me about before? What obstacles did you cover? And when were you afraid? And they say that if you're not afraid, then your goal is not big enough, right? If you can see it perfectly, how to get there, then your vision is not big enough. And so I think you've got to have people, stakeholders that are influential and that can help you and want to help you. And you've got to have your mindset to be able to say, I've won before, I'm a winner, I can win again. I just don't know how I'm gonna do it yet, but I will. And then using my book, I give you an entire thing. I give an example, I want to lose weight, and I give an example of I want to become vice president. Those are the 2 examples that I give, and I walk you all the way through the how. And then when you go through the how and you experiment, and we all hear about test, measure, and learn. You try it out, you measure how did you do, you take that feedback as data, you don't take it personally. You're like, okay, I missed that first one. Let me tweak my algorithm. Let me tweak my assumptions a little bit. And then you go right back out there and do it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Daphne, thank you so much. Scott has a question. Please, Scott, go ahead.
Scott.
Think you're
Sorry,
still
you're
on
on mute.
mute. There
Sorry
you are.
about that. I was on
No
mute.
worries.
Yeah, I'm on my phone. What? I'm probably not the only person with this. You're working at a company. You feel kind of just stuck where you are. You're performing really well, and you know your company. You feel like you have a good image of that company, but you're stuck. Like you can't move up because the person that's above you is is going to be there for like 10, 15 years, and you don't want to go backwards. But so like, is that when it's time to move on, or is it yeah, I'm sure.
Couple things that come to my mind. One is, if you're really good, first of all, you should know if you're a high potential or a high performer. There are people, and they have the called the 9 box or something in HR that lets you know, he performs really well, but he doesn't have any runway, or he's got a long way to go, and he's also a great performer. Know where you are. They should tell you that you're a high performer and high potential. If you're high potential, you can get developed. They can create an opportunity for you. They can create a job for you. If you are amazing and you walking on water over there, they will rather create a position for you than lose you. If you're high potential and if you're a high performer. So ask your boss. It's a simple question. Do the start, stop, continue question. Boss, what should I start doing that I'm not? Because I want to be, I'd love to get promoted. I'd like to have maybe take a lateral role to a new department or whatever. Sometimes the way to go up is over. You don't always have to go right above you. You can go that way and then go up. So what should I start doing? And then, because, you can ask your boss, how am I doing? Oh, you're doing great, Scott. No, that's not what you want to ask. You want to ask, what should I start doing that I'm not doing yet? What should I stop doing that pisses people off or that shows that I may not be ready? Yeah, you pick your teeth, or, whatever it is, you cut people off when they're talking. Find out what you got to stop doing and find out what they love, what you should continue doing. You should be getting feedback and being fed regularly from your boss and your people about how you're doing. And if at the end of the day that doesn't work, then you go to your HR friends that are outside of your company, find out what your job is valued, what you're valued at. There are jobs that are out there, find a job, do an interview, see if they offer you a job. They may offer you a higher position, because if this company doesn't appreciate you over here, this company will. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that question, Scott. And we're gonna take our last question from Nicole for now, because I do want to give some time for Daphne to explain the tool, the Bomono tool that you will get if you complete the survey after today's workshop. So Nicole, please go ahead with the question.
Thank you, Daphne. That was very impactful. My question is, throughout your journey from going from high school, I've had similar counselors tell me similar things. Now at the return part of your career, what are some of the self-care things that you have done to give you energy and to recharge you that you wish you knew back then?
Great question. And my fitness is what I'll call, it's not physical only, it's emotional, it's spiritual, social, it's all those things. One of the things that I do is I'm a faith-based person, but I had breast cancer. And, when they told me that I had it, I was like, God, what are you saying to me? I work out 5 days a week. I eat pretty good. I don't drink anymore or any less either. Okay, so maybe that's what it is. God, what are you saying to me? And even though I was working out and doing well, I still had to find peace within what was going on with me. So I think a lot of it is meditation for me that I didn't do before, never did it before. Deep breathing, what is that? I hyperventilate. That's what I do. I don't deep breathe. And I take time. I have an admin who says, she and I have agreed, I'm not going to talk to anybody on a Monday or Friday. Woo, that's hard. But that's what, unless it's an emergency, okay, and then next thing you know, everything's an emergency. But Monday and Friday, so have time for yourself. It's like when they say you should pay yourself first. If you have a job or a company, pay yourself first, put the oxygen mask on yourself first, take care of yourself first. Because when you are not healthy, you're no good to anybody at all. And so I wish that I had meditated more. I wish I had deep breathed more. I wish I had taken time for me more, because it was always about everybody else. I was doing their agenda, everybody else's agenda, but didn't set mine. And now that's different for me.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
That's
Thank you, Nicole.
fantastic. Thank you so much. Daphne, if you want to just quickly explain the Bomono tool that the members here will get
Sure.
once they answer the feedback question after the workshop, that'd be great.
Okay, sure. So there's something that reason why I believe people aren't as successful as they could be. And we've heard about FOMO. We want to do everything. I want to read every newspaper. There's not a goal that I don't like. I want to learn how to do everything. And so to me, it's not about fear of missing out. It's about deciding what are your priorities. Because as you go through my book, I'm assuming that you were going to have some bows and some mows and some no's. So if you look at the vertical axis, what is in line with your vision? Because I'm assuming, again, in the first part of edit is envision. So there's the vision part. You got to see where you want to go. What is in alignment with that? Then the horizontal is, what is the value? Am I going to make a lot of money? Am I going to, have a loving family? That's qualitative, not quantitative. Whatever it is, those two axes are important. So then you say, what are all the things that you want to get done? So I wrote here on the top, I want a VP promotion. I want to be on a board of directors. And I want to take flying lessons. And those were listed somewhere on a piece of paper along with 20 other things. Then you say, which of those are going to be the highest qualitative or quantitative value based on the stage of life that you're in, learn, earn, or return, and which one is going to be the highest level attainment of your vision. That's your bow. That's what I call bodacious objectives. There are, some people use the word audacious. I use bodacious. They're bold and audacious together. VP of promotion, it's as high as it can go. I want to be on a public board of directors, but I'm only 35. I haven't been in the C-suite. It's not time. It'll align with my vision, but it's just not going to happen. So I'm not quite there in terms of it being aligned with my qualitative value based on my stage of life that I'm in. I'm still the earn all I can stage, or learning and earning. And that's your moderate objectives. You should have 1 or 2 bows. You should have no more than 2 moderates. And then all the other things go to no. No means no. No means non-essential objectives. Flying lessons. If you have time, maybe, but if you don't, you don't. Whatever's in the no's, you either delay it, you delegate it, or you deny it. So you can delay it for 5 years. You can say no altogether. You know what? I'm not going to do it. Or you can delegate it to somebody, and maybe that becomes somebody else's that works for you. That becomes their moderate objectives, or that becomes their bodacious objectives. But that's what the bow, mo, no is. 1 or 2 bows, 1 or 2 mo's, and then the rest go into the no's. And in the book, I talk you through how to do that.
This is absolutely fantastic, Daphne. Thank you so much for walking us through everything. Even though I have been reading the book, I took so many notes already. So so I do appreciate this. And I thank you all for coming today to share time with us and to hear from Daphne. on this amazing coaching session, workshop, whatever you want to call it. But I definitely learned a lot. So I feel like I got coached. So thank you so much, Daphne. I hope you all got the same thing. And with that, I do want to close this off by handing it off to Linda.
And I was going to
Linda
say, I was going to ask you guys if you all could take out your phone and go to my last slide. I'm sorry, I know it's not 6:14, but my last slide. Can you follow me right there? Can you all go online and follow me on
Sure.
Instagram, Daphne Jones Official, please. Daphne Jones Official on Instagram. And of course, you can find me in Daphne Jones on LinkedIn. That would mean the world to me to know that you guys are following me.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much, Daphne. Thank you all for coming, Linda.